It's Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. This is Digital Trends Live. The show is about to begin now. Hello, yes indeed. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us wherever you are. We do appreciate it. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and more. And let's kick it off right now with some news. So, we're talking about Samsung. So Samsung has officially unveiled their new devices with their Galaxy Unpacked event. Let's take a quick look at some of them, starting with the Galaxy Note 20. So the color Mystic Bronze was something that Samsung's been hyping for quite a while, and they also added in Mystic Black and Mystic White as colors. It was a big highlight of the event. They also had two Note 20s unveiling, the standard one with a 6.7-inch screen and the Note 20 Ultra with a 6.9-inch screen. But let's focus on one of the aspects everybody wants to know about. That's the camera. On the back, the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra will sport a 108 megapixel main camera plus an ultra-wide and telephoto lens, and they'll both shoot in 8K. So that'll take up a lot of memory, so keep that in mind. That's just a little bit of the specs. Now the Note 20 starts at $1,000. The Note 20 Ultra starts at $1,300. Both are available for pre-sale starting on August 21st. Read the details at digitaltrends.com. And from there, let's look at the new foldable, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2. So this is the second in the flagship lines of their foldable phones. Now this one is the book style of foldable phone. So it includes the outer screen, which is something that they did update. So the last version only had a 4.6-inch screen. The new one has an edge-to-edge 6.2-inch screen on the outside with a full 7.6-inch screen when opened up. You will definitely need a good screen protector for that. I would break it. But they didn't tell us the price on this one. We expect it to be a lot. That is something that usually these are. We'll get some more details on that as it comes out. But with both of these phones, you can read all about them at digitaltrends.com. Let's take a look at the three other devices that they debuted. So they did say there's going to be 5 power devices. Let's go to those. The first one is the Galaxy Buds Live. So these are their earbuds, and the most obvious thing for these things is the shape. So it's kind of a bean shape, I guess you would call it. Definitely a different design than we've seen from a lot of other earbuds. Now, the big improvement here from their previous Buds and Buds Plus is that the Buds Live will have active noise cancellation. So that's something they're adding in there to compete with all of the other wireless earbuds that are out there. Now, the battery life, they said, will be 29 hours. We don't know if that means with the case or without. It'll also have 3 microphones for phone calls, so something interesting there. We've got those details in Digital Trends. Going from the earbuds to the watch. Now, the Galaxy Watch 3, something we've been anticipating for quite a long time. We've seen some leaks about it, but now we finally got to take a look at it. It's going to come in 2 sizes, 3 colors. Again, all that Mystic Bronze, Mystic Black, Mystic White. Mystic Bronze, a very big thing at Samsung this year. The watch itself, though, is slimmer than the previous one. Still has built-in GPS, still has water resistance to 5 ATM, but it's got some new health features that'll let you track your blood pressure. It'll have ECG on it, and you'll be able to track your blood oxygen levels, but those features won't be activated in the US quite yet. They have to go through FDA approval, so that's something that'll be updated as they go through, but something to keep in mind there. And the final device that they did debut today is the Galaxy Tab 7. There's 2 different versions of that. You have a Galaxy Tab S7 and the S7 Plus. So these are the first 5G enabled laptops. The Plus model is 5G enabled. So it's going to come in 2 different sizes. Both will have 120 hertz refresh rates, something they were very big on. It'll also have the faster Snapdragon 865 Plus processors from Qualcomm. No word on the prices yet as of right this second on those, but as with everything, we'll update it all at digitaltrends.com. We've got reviews of a lot of these products that are already up that you can take a look at, some S Pen cross functionality that they really highlighted, so some interesting things there. But those are the 5 devices. Just a quick run through of those. Check it all out at digitaltrends.com. Continuing on here with trending news, something else that debuted today that's been highly anticipated is Instagram's Reels. So this is to battle TikTok. Now, Instagram Reels has been tested out in some other markets, but now it's coming out to 50 countries as of today, and it lets people create videos up to 15 seconds long that can be set to music. Kind of sounds a little familiar. Now, if you want to become a Reels star, which I can only imagine is a term that will become a thing at some point, Instagram will have a new section for Reels on the Explore page. It'll work kind of like TikTok's For You page and allow you to take a look at random other Reels that people create. You also have the option of posting Reels via a public profile or privately. And this all comes on the heels of this big battle that TikTok is facing right now, from governmental regulations to bans to possibly the US making them sell TikTok in the US version, this is something else that they're going to have to face. So can they beat Facebook? Well, they've beaten off a lot of other competitors before, but we'll see if this one can make it through there. So again, that is Reels coming out from Instagram. All right, continuing on with trending news, let's talk about Disney Plus. Now, Disney Plus has a lot of subscribers, 60.5 million, in fact, according to their CEO during their latest report. And on top of that, they're now going to be debuting Mulan, yes, which was supposed to be their next blockbuster movie. They're going to be debuting it on Disney Plus. On September 4th, you'll be able to rent Mulan through Disney Plus for $30. Now, that marks a big shift. The original release date was in March. They continued to move the date of the theatrical release to accommodate theater reopenings, but theater reopenings have not really happened yet, so they finally decided to go streaming. Now, there were some other movies, some other production companies that have done this already. Universal did it with Trolls World Tour. They got into a big fight with AMC. They've since reconciled to where AMC and Universal have a deal to put a movie in the theaters for 17 days, then go to rental. But this is Disney just going straight to their massive platform. You have to wonder if this is going to have ramifications for the Marvel Cinematic Universe with all of those movies that are scheduled to come out. So we'll see where that all goes. But nonetheless, Disney Plus going to be showcasing Mulan for $30 on September 5th. Read more about it at digitaltrends.com. Something else that we're all concerned with has to do with finances. I think we can all accurately say that that's a big thing for everybody, including what is going to happen with this upcoming stimulus package. Are we going to get it? How much is it going to be? What's it going to entail? Well, let's talk to Winnie Sun right now, joining us as always to talk about all of this and unravel it for us. Winnie, hello. Thank you for being here. And the stimulus package, it's on everybody's mind.
It's on everybody's mind, Greg, and it's so great to be with you. So we are on the deadline because as of this week, on Friday and beyond, the government goes on recess. So hopefully, we get some news sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and looking at that, do we have any idea as far as what they're going to be doing, or do we know that, maybe an extra $600? Do you think that'll happen again?
Yes, absolutely. So, Greg, you're talking about $600 unemployment enhancement benefit that the federal government actually let expire on July 31st. Now, all ears on that, as well as that $1,200 stimulus check. So in terms of the $600 unemployment relief, my thought is that as of this morning, there's been much indication that this will probably continue, that there will be good news, that actually we're looking at $600, and it looks like that will be extended. There was a lot of talk, as we know, the Democrats passed the House already indicating they wanted that $600 to extend until January of 2021. But the Republicans said absolutely not, because they know that 2/3 of those who are unemployed, when they get that extra $600, they're actually making more money than they were making when they were unemployed. When they were employed. So therefore, they were saying that actually makes it so they don't want to go back to work because they're making more money staying at home. So there's been a lot of back and forth on that. And so I think as of today, we've heard that looks like we're actually at a better chance of extending that $600 instead of the GOP recommended of dropping down to $200 a week. So there's good news there for sure. I think as of this morning, there's talks that they're getting ready, they're getting closer. We should have indication that they're going to sign that, hopefully by the end of this week, or maybe even next week.
That's definitely good news for a lot of people I know who could definitely use that. So looking at that from there and just kind of taking a look at the market as a whole going forward, what are the financial prospects of this? Say they extend this or even pass another stimulus package. Looking at the short term, are we in a position for recovery? Is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? What do you think?
Well, it's very interesting because today the market's doing very well again, and it's been positive the last few days. And actually, this is like the 30th high for one of the indices. So as much as we are concerned about the economy, investors, as pertains to the stock market, don't seem to be as concerned. So those of you who are investors, maybe in your 401k or IRA, you're probably looking at your portfolio balances and thinking, is there like disconnect? Because we're in a pandemic and yet my portfolio, my investments actually look pretty good. So it's very hard to tell. We're going right into November 3rd into an election. Now, typically, as we go into election year, typically the market historically does very well. This year, obviously, given the pandemic, it's so hard to determine. But I will say, you just mentioned Disney. There's a lot of optimism in certain areas of the market. outside of like hospitality and travel and whatnot. So long term, these could, it's really, really hard to say. It's interesting because if we were just talking about the market, you would say it actually looks pretty positive. But if you look at gold just past $2,000, that's usually a pretty bearish indication. So really hard to come by. I would say right now, just be really, really aware of where the market is, and most importantly, make sure you're really well diversified and you're in a position that meets your risk tolerance.
With that, talking about diversification and just what people should be doing with their money, should people be contributing more to their 401ks right now? Since you said, it might be something that you should be doing if you can.
Well, okay, that's a good question. So recently we saw an article come out and it's trending all over social media about the justification of whether or not the 401k still made sense. Now, I will say for those of you who are in a position where you're still having income come in, I would absolutely continue that 401k allocation or investment or contribution. However, I would challenge you to consider investing into a Roth 401k over a traditional 401k if you can, especially if you've got over 10 years between now and retirement. And the reason that is because this pandemic is costing the government, us, trillions of dollars, which is going to equate to increases in taxes, no matter how you look at it. We already saw that here in California. The states already indicated they're looking to increase taxes for the highest level of taxes up to 50-some%. Now that's going to trickle down to other states, as well as the federal side. So if you believe, like I do, that taxes are going higher, you're better off paying taxes upfront on your contributions so that when you reach 59 and a half and beyond, post-retirement, that all that money is 100% yours. So that is a smart strategy I would consider right now if you've got over 10 years and you're willing to hold that investment. It's a great philosophy to now continue to invest, but make sure that your money now turns tax-free.
Winnie, as always, you provide such great advice for everybody and appreciate it so much, you being on here to talk about all of this and make sense of it. Sounds like there's a little bit of good news maybe on the horizon for some people. And as always, people can go to sungroupwp.com and follow everything that Winnie does, follow her broadcasts. And Winnie, great to talk to you.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you for your time.
Winnie Sun, always such great information here on Digital Trends Live. All right, we need to take a break. We're coming back. We've got controversial YouTube star Jake Paul. We spoke to him about some things that he's got going on, including a boxing match with Nate Robinson coming up. So stick around. We'll be right back with more Digital Trends Live. And welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. So, with TikTok in hot water, rival app Triller is soaring to the top of the App Store charts. But since there's no such thing as too much publicity, Triller is airing Mike Tyson's long-awaited comeback against Roy Jones Jr. on September 12th. On the undercard, former NBA star Nate Robinson squaring off against controversial YouTuber Jake Paul. We spoke to Jake this past week. Here's what he had to say as he gets ready for the fight. Hello, thanks for being here with us.
What's up, y'all? Thank you guys so much for having me.
You bet, man. So there's a bunch of stuff I want to talk to you about with the fight. But first off, I got to ask, with Mike Tyson returning to the ring, Roy Jones Jr., you're on the undercard for this fight. What does that feel like to be on Mike Tyson's return night?
Man, it's an honor first and foremost. Words can't even really describe it. I'm excited. I'm overwhelmed. It's still surreal to me. My family members are calling me, being like, "Whoa, this is absolutely insane. We're so proud of you." But it's just legendary, man. And Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., two legends. And so I'm honestly just honored to be a part of the historic night. And I'm counting down the days. We're 43 days away, so it's going to be amazing.
It is coming up. And with that, with Nate Robinson. So I want to talk about that. I want to get into this. But how did this come about for the two of you fighting each other?
Nate started calling me out on social media a while back, actually, after my last fight, saying, "Oh, you haven't fought anyone good. You haven't fought any professional athletes. I would knock you out. All these guys you're fighting are bums." Just running his mouth like crazy. And so when Triller Vids and Mike Tyson sort of was putting this event together and they wanted me a part of it, they were like, "Who do you want to fight?" And I was like, "Well, Nate Robinson's been calling me out, so let's get it." It makes sense, and it should be an exciting fight.
Well, one of the things that I know that he called out on you, this is a quote from him. He called you a bird's head ass. Now, I don't know what that means. Can you tell us what you think that means and what your response is to Nate for that?
Yeah, I think he's referring to my head looking like a bird's ass. Bird head ass. My response to Nate is, you got a lot coming for you September 12th, man, and unfortunately, boxing has nothing to do with birds' heads or asses or how you look. So.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, looking at it, the fight between you and Nate, obviously there's a pretty big age difference there. Do you think his age is going to be a factor in this match?
Yeah. I mean, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? I mean, he's 36 years old. He's going to be slower, and boxing's not a sport you can just pick up out of nowhere and try to have a professional fight with 10-ounce gloves and no headgear. He doesn't really know what he's getting himself into, and I think he's a little bit delusional for thinking that he has any chance. This fight's obviously on Triller, so you can watch it there. Download Triller and tune in September 12th.
Going back to that, like going to kind of the fighting, I guess to take it back just a little bit, you and your brother Logan are both fighting. You're both fighters. You both got into boxing. What made you both get into it? And then my follow-up is, who do you think would win in a match, you or your brother?
So a couple of years back, me and my brother decided we wanted to throw a massive event fighting these other YouTubers, and that's really where it all started. And we sold out Manchester Arena, 25,000 people, did upwards of a couple million pay-per-view buys, and we were like, wow, this is insane. This is a huge business. This was fun. This is something we love. And so that's where it kind of jump started, and we've kind of been just running with it ever since. If you're walking down the street and two people are fighting, everyone stops to watch. So it's something that's super entertaining, and at the end of the day, we're entertainers. We act, we do music, we do YouTube, all these things. So it falls under the category of entertainment, and with all that said, I would definitely beat my brother's ass.
Oh, get your head in the game and move on.
Nice.
Sorry,
all right, there it is, calling out. Maybe it's a future fight. One other thing, talking about the battles, because you do get into a lot of battles, it feels like, just even online, and you mentioned the music side of things and kind of you versus KSI, and there's a lot of talk that was out there about whether or not, and this is just what people were saying online, whether or not you paid rappers to help promote your video. I guess, do you have a response to that?
I think people are idiots. Anyone will try to find a reason to discredit me when I'm, doing something great. My music video has 8 million views in 1 week, and so people are gonna say, "Oh, well, he paid people or da da da." Like, to me, that's comical. I'm friends with tons of A-list celebrities, and we all promote each other's stuff, help each other out, wear each other's merchandising, shout each other's music videos out. And when people don't believe you can do something, they'll try anything to hate on you and to tear you down. But yeah, the song's crushing it. Fresh out of London, stream it on all the platforms right now.
Nice. Well, going back to the fight, like you said, it's coming up. It's just a number of days. What are you doing to train and get ready for it?
So we're here in Las Vegas right now. I got out of California to eliminate like all the distractions and go into a real fight training camp in the fight capital of the world, which is Vegas, high altitude. This morning we were running up mountains, sprinting, fighting bears, wrestling alligators, swimming in rivers, the whole 9 yards. So our training camp's serious, legit. And I'm ready to fight right now. So I'm kind of just counting down the days and putting the finishing touches on.
And I want to remind everybody, like you said, it's going to be streaming on Triller. It's on demand, a lot of different places people can watch it. And we're actually going to be talking to Nate in the next couple of days as well. Jake, thank you so much for joining us here to talk about this. This is a really exciting night of fights just in general. I'm definitely looking forward to it. And for everybody that wants to watch it, again, September 12th, it's going to be available on Triller. It's an exclusive streaming pay-per-view and through pay-per-view through cable as well. So everybody can tune in and get ready for that. Jake, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Welcome back. Jake Paul is an investor in Triller, and as we came on the air, we saw the news FBI agents were serving a federal search warrant at Jake Paul's Calabasas, California home. Now, the reason for the raid has not been disclosed as of now. The influencer also has recently come under fire for hosting a large party last month at that residence amidst growing numbers of COVID cases in California. While there are no reports that the FBI warrant is connected to that controversy, Paul did make the following comment about the events at his home in an interview with Insider. Quote, "No one has answers, our leadership is failing us, and everyone kind of just doesn't know what to do, but I personally am not the type of person who's going to sit around and not live my life," unquote. The day of the aforementioned party, July 14th, Los Angeles County officials reported 2,916 new coronavirus cases. With that, we'll take a break and be right back with more Digital Trends Live. And hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. It's Wednesday. Let's have some fun. It's time for TBD. What does that mean? I don't know. That's what our hosts are going to tell us. And that is why we are joined by Jess Serba and Adrian Warner, as usual. Jess, to you first. Hello. How's it going?
Hey, Gregory. I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I am doing excellent. Thank you very much. And we're also joined by Adrienne Warner. Hello, Adrienne.
Howdy, Greg. How's it going?
Doing good. Excited for TBD and what we're going to be talking about because I don't know. So, Adrienne, what is TBD about this week?
All right. This week we have a very exciting topic that Jess and I are super thrilled about. We spent a lot of time on this one because it's called Taken by Deceivers. Now, Greg, I have to ask you, I'm going to throw you for a little bit of a loop here. Do you happen to use Facebook Marketplace?
I've only tried it a couple of times, so I can't say that I've purchased a lot off of it. Mainly, I look for things that I think were stolen from me and see if they're on there.
All right. Well, this kind of applies. So, as you may or may not be aware, in June, Facebook made a major update to some of their policies. And you think that this might be around privacy or data or advertising, but it's actually about now. Get this, the sale and exchange of historical artifacts and antiquities. Now, specifically, Facebook announced new rules in June that for the first time specifically ban the exchange, the sale, and the purchase of all historical artifacts on its site and on Instagram. Now, why are they putting out this policy? Well, actually, this is because it's part of a huge problem with historical relics being sold in online forums. And this has been going on for quite a while. It's not new specifically to Facebook, but currently COVID has actually exacerbated this problem. And experts have been seeing an increase in online sales of stolen historical artifacts. In fact, the Antiquities Trafficking and Heritage Anthropology Project, also known as ATHAR, which investigates and documents the digital underworld, let's say, of trafficking in these looted artifacts, put out a report last year in June of 2019. And they've talked about the rise of trafficked artifacts and cultural artifacts online, and they largely pointed to Facebook as one of the key problems and sources for where this is happening. And in this report, they said, exactly what I just mentioned. It's not anything new, but it's actually exacerbated by the rise of historical media. And since the spread of COVID-19, they've been seeing a rise in cases, probably linked to the nicer weather, and also the fact that people may have a loss of income during this time in the areas where they're seeing these artifacts pop up. And just one example of a story that broke last May, Interpol, along with Europol and the World Customs Organization, recovered over 19,000 archaeological artifacts as part of a global operation spanning over 103 countries. And they noted that 28% of the recovered artifacts came from online sales. So this is a huge, huge worldwide problem. And Athar specifically has found an uptick on posts in Facebook groups involved in buying and selling these looted objects. So a lot of these are from conflict zones, such as, in the Middle East or in North Africa. And they also show that middlemen are profiting off of this, not just the people selling it and receiving it. People are asking for finder's fees when they're transferring these found or stolen relics. And Facebook knows about this. They've tried to do things about it in the past, taken down groups before, but this specifically is very, very eventful in that they're creating the policy to ban these sales entirely versus just going after the groups and the people who are selling them. Now, what qualifies as an artifact under Facebook's new rules is something I'm going to let Jess get into because it's super interesting, all of the things that have been popping up and what is not going to be allowed on their platform anymore.
Yeah, Adrienne. So we're going to talk about the policy as well, but what does qualify as an artifact? As far as Facebook is concerned, these are rare items of significant historical, cultural, or scientific value. So this applies to products of archaeological discoveries and excavations, to antiquities such as ancient funerary items, ancient tombstones, ancient coins, engraved seals, etc., human remains and mummified body parts, and ancient scrolls and manuscripts, etc. So these are typically from conflict zones, right, including Syria, Iraq, Libya, and Yemen. Experts say the value of looted antiquities is hard to determine exactly, but they look to the billions. Beyond that, sales of looted antiquities do help finance terrorism, facilitate money laundering, and are even linked to genocide. So absolutely something that we need to be looking at, and enforcing more. So let's break down that policy a little bit. They state essentially that they realize the problem is that they have a few different policies which are conflicting and sort of create a gray area around this. One is the coordinating harm and not protecting and promoting crime policy, under which they do prohibit the removal, they do prohibit and remove any sales in which an item is clearly looted. So they do already kind of look to that. But how do you determine, right, that something is already looted? However, their regulated goods policy doesn't prohibit content, that attempts to sell, gift, or exchange general historical items. They say this is because lots of items do hold very significant personal and cultural value to certain communities, and in these communities, they can legally be, sold and acquired across all of these jurisdictions. So now they want to, establish these clear parameters so we know, what should and should not be sold. So in this new policy, essentially, it's kind of like it kind of moves a little bit. There are three kind of options that they're looking to. Option one is like kind of staying the same and just making sure no looted items, are being sold. Under this option, items allowed are, Persian rugs, Native American arrowheads, and surprisingly to me, Syrian tombstones. So currently that's fine. Right.
Wow.
The next one is kind of moving forward into an escalations only basis. So that's where in which organizations can actually go in and flag, experts in the field can flag specific items that they realize prohibit and that are under, anything that's outside of international law, or items that, don't have proof of ownership. And then the stricter one, which I know that people are, definitely looking toward, is enforcing via scaled review. So basically removing all content related to all sales of historical artifacts, just because it is difficult to kind of understand, what is and what isn't. Their policy deck does mention that the global market of antiquities in general has been described as a bit of a gray market itself. And Facebook says there's a good chance that historical artifacts traded online are either illegal or fake, that 80% of antiquities have sketchy provenances. So, you don't know, it's hard to figure out where, what route they came from. NPR, I found a great article from NPR that does point out that unlike with other banned categories, such as gun sales, Facebook doesn't have an artificial intelligence program in place to help identify this banned activity, nor do they employ experts. So that's something to really be looking at. You can tell I could talk about this for hours, but what I also found most captivating from this NPR story is that these experts find themselves in an incredibly difficult, spot, because they're themselves having to sort of police all of these marketplaces. And the first obstacle is that they have a hard time getting Facebook to even determine that one of these, one of these items has been looted and that it violates the policy. But once they do, instead of the post being preserved, it actually disappears, which completely, prevents any sort of further investigation. These items are literally, disappearing. They quote a Syrian American, archaeologist and professor who actually also is the co-director of Athar, saying, they're not part of documented collections. They've not been excavated properly. They haven't been photographed. They haven't been recorded. And the first time that a human is even laying eyes on these pieces are in a Facebook post. And it's a lot of these pieces are actually being shared in photos from their actual location. So they actually mentioned like loot to order. So once that item is sold, it disappears from where it is and it may never be seen again. And we don't even know where it came from. So as an avid history fan, this is something that like I'm very, on board with tightening that policy and, preserving, history from kind of being looted from before our eyes.
Well, that is fascinating. Like, I had no idea about all of that. So definitely something to pay attention to. I'm surprised they don't have AI for it too, but now I'm going to be going down that rabbit hole even more after this. So thank you, both of you. That was great. Really fascinating stuff. I know we also have, of course, as part of TBD, Kick Stop It. And so I have to ask, what is it this week?
All right. We've got a great one for you. This week it's called the Pavana Air Shield, and it is a PPE alternative to a mask. Now, I know we're all kind of sick of masks at this point. So the Pavana Air Shield puts out literally a stream of air between you and the outside world. It's a device that you wear on your forehead, and it has a UVC device that purifies the air that goes through that stream as it feeds it into the air shield. Now, I would love to note right here that the term air shield is trademarked. And I'm really unsure how effective this is, although they do really tout that it is extremely effective alternative to wearing a mask for preventing any sort of spread of the virus or other germs. My other concern, though, is that it would dry out my eyeballs. Like if there's a constant stream of air, right? If there's a constant stream of air coming down my face at all times, I feel like that might have other effects that are unpleasant. Anyway, supposedly it's rechargeable. It lasts for 8 hours at a time. It's a little wild.
They also call it.
Yeah, this is interesting. Jess, what do you think?
I was just gonna say they call it air curtain technology. So essentially, you're creating a curtain around yourself. I'm kind of with Adrian. I wear contacts, so any sort of like constant breeze does dry my eyes out. I also want to note too that this Kickstarter is. It's not. They haven't developed a prototype yet. So the funding would actually go to develop the actual prototype itself. So it's conceptual. There's no official prototype that has been tested. So that's something to look at as well. I'm in. If I could wear this around, I might do it.
So you're a kickstart.
I'm kickstarting this one, Greg.
Wow.
Adrian, what about you?
I think I'm a kickstop, and largely because I don't know if anybody's seen a couple episodes of Naruto, but it really just looks like one of those headbands. And I don't know if I could be wearing that on a daily basis.
Do you have to Naruto run like everywhere you go if you're wearing one of these? I think that would have to be the...
Hey, might get faster.
Mine is, right? I'm just thinking it's blowing air down. What happens when you sneeze? Is it just going to like projectile that like double the amount of what it was before? Like, I don't know.
That's a really good point, actually. I like that point. I do.
I think I'll probably kick stop it, but there we go. Another kick stop it here. And I know to wrap out TBD, as always, we've got some Charlie Cam.
That's right. He's doing his little dance, and I hope he brings you some joy on this wonderful Wednesday.
What a weirdo.
He does this every day.
I love him.
Charlie Cam. All right, Adrian, Jess, thank you so much. Once again, another awesome edition of TBD. I will talk to both of you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Digital Trends Live. I appreciate all of you joining us here every single day, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. We keep you up to date with what's going on in the world of technology. We have some great conversations and all of that and more tomorrow. Of course, we'll update you on what's going on in the world of gaming with Lisa Marie Sagara. We've got our interview with Nate Robinson, I believe, is going to be tomorrow as well, and all kinds of surprises, so you don't want to miss that. Hit subscribe on whatever platform you are watching on. I'm Greg Nibbler. I'll be right back here tomorrow with another edition of Digital Trends Live.